this hour on VTV News. Vietnam moves toward regulating crypto exchanges amid growing market. And later on, Vietnam expands the North-South Expressway to 6 lanes. And in a world news, controversy over U.S. leaked secret data continues.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time, and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dylan Lei with the latest updates. Now, Prime Minister Phie has approved a government resolution aimed at reducing and simplifying administrative procedures for business operations in 2025 and 2026. The new program focuses on 3 primary goals: cutting down and simplifying business-related administrative procedures, streamlining internal processes, and promoting procedures that are independent of administrative boundaries. By 2025, the program aims to eliminate at least 30% of unnecessary investment conditions, reduce processing time and compliance costs by 30%, and ensure that all business-related procedures are conducted online with full transparency, regardless of provincial boundaries. By 2026, the government plans to remove all conflicting, redundant, or vague regulations, especially for sectors not listed in the conditional business investment categories under the investment law, with the goal of reducing administrative processing times and costs by 50% compared to 2024. In other news, Vietnam is making strides to establish a legal framework for centralized cryptocurrency exchanges to better manage the blockchain and crypto asset market. Currently, about 60% of cryptocurrency transactions in the country are conducted on centralized exchanges. International experts suggest that to effectively regulate these platforms, Vietnam needs a clear, comprehensive legal framework and enhanced public awareness. The government is also advised to strengthen inter-agency cooperation and apply advanced monitoring technologies to prevent illegal activities. According to blockchain analytics firm Chainalysis, Vietnam has been consistently ranked among the top 5 countries globally for cryptocurrency adoption, with over $120 billion in crypto assets flowing into the country over the past 2 years. Businesses, foreign investors, and economic experts have called for bold policy reforms to promote the private sector as a driving force for economic growth and elevate Vietnam's global standing. These include removing existing barriers and implementing progressive policies that enable the private economy to flourish.
Amidst restricted access to business loans, this company advocates for targeted tax incentives to support private enterprises involved in global supply chains. Reduced tax rates would alleviate financial burdens, ensuring businesses have sufficient capital for reinvestment, particularly in high-tech industries such as automation.
Special tax incentives should be provided. For example, domestic enterprises supplying foreign companies or participating in global supply chains should receive tax benefits equivalent to those of exporters. This concept, which we can call domestic export, recognizes that supplying foreign enterprises in Vietnam is functionally similar to exporting to international markets.
Experts suggest creating special economic zones focusing on specific industries to maximize tax support while avoiding dependence on incentives. These zones would nurture leading private enterprises, enabling them to anchor supply chains and drive small and medium-sized businesses forward.
France has successfully developed specialized industrial zones. Each zone focuses on a key industry with clear economic benefits. Vietnam can adopt a similar approach by establishing special economic zones tailored to each locality's strengths. For instance, Haiphong and its surrounding regions could develop into a concentrated industry.
Beyond tax incentives, experts emphasize the need for a predictable and equitable business environment in which private enterprises enjoy fair competition, secured property rights, and freedom of business operations.
I think it's about stability. It's also about ensuring transparency, that everyone knows what's going to happen, and the stability that the policies and plans are for the next 5-10 years, because that will be a period of time that businesses need to establish themselves. So I think those are the key elements.
In the article, Private Economic Development, Leverage for a Prosperous Vietnam, Party General Secretary To Lam outlined a strategic vision for 2030, where the private sector is expected to contribute up to 70% of GDP, with globally competitive enterprises adopting advanced technologies and deeply integrating into international value chains.
Vietnam plans to expand the 1,160-kilometer north-south expressway connecting Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City into a 6-lane highway. The Ministry of Construction has submitted this proposal to the government as a priority investment project. More to follow.
Currently, several sections of the expressway have only 2 or 4 lanes, causing traffic congestion and failing to meet growing transport demands. To address this, the expansion project has already begun, with the first stretch of road being upgraded from 4 to 6 lanes. At a construction site in Ninh Binh, over 11 work teams are operating simultaneously.
The project is scheduled for 2 years, but we are aiming to shorten it by 4 to 6 months. If we adjust the soil treatment methods, we could potentially cut the construction time down to just 1 year.
For maximum efficiency and to meet transport demands, the Ministry of Construction is prioritizing expansion along the 1,144-kilometer stretch of the North-South Expressway.
Once expanded to 6 lanes as planned, vehicles will be able to travel at speeds of 100 to 120 kilometers per hour.
Developing transport infrastructure not only improves mobility, but also creates long-term economic growth momentum.
Expanding the expressway now, while machinery, workforce, and materials from ongoing projects are readily available, could reduce investment costs by 20 to 30% compared to a delayed expansion. The project is also expected to create millions of jobs, boost industrial production, and help Vietnam reach its 8% economic growth target this year.
Vietnam's agricultural, forestry, and seafood exports hit an estimated $15 billion in the first quarter of 2025, a nearly 11% increase compared to last year. However, several major sectors have seen significant declines. Rice exports, for example, totaled $1.1 billion, a 20% drop from the previous year. Meanwhile, fruit and vegetable exports reached about $420 million in March, marking the sector's third consecutive month of decline, with a total decrease of nearly 11% in the first quarter. On a positive note, exports of coffee, wood products, seafood, and pepper saw growth ranging from 8% to 29%. Vietnam's fruit and vegetable exports reached an estimated $1.1 billion in the first quarter, down more than 30% year-on-year. This decline was primarily driven by a sharp decrease in durian exports. The industry has now made restoring growth its main focus for the second quarter.
After a temporary halt in exports, businesses are now planning to resume shipments in the next 3 months to meet peak durian harvest season demand. China's recent 100% inspection policy for imported shipments has made exporters more aware of the risks of unstructured production.
Previously, we focused on strict inspections only at the final stage before export. Now, our packaging facility collaborates closely with farming regions and testing centers to conduct multiple inspections. We hope for a dedicated durian testing center in Tiên Giang.
Last year, durian exports generated $3.4 billion, accounting for nearly 50% of Vietnam's total fruit and vegetable export value. To achieve this year's target of $8 billion, businesses must rebalance product and market structures.
We have reviewed key agricultural products for market access strategies. Additionally, we have proposed to the Minister a review of tax policies on U.S. agricultural imports to Vietnam and Vietnamese exports to the U.S. to ensure trade balance.
Market trends since early 2025 highlight the risks of over-reliance on a single market or product. Strengthening key product categories while diversifying export destinations will be critical for sustained industry growth.
Before we move on, let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and some world currencies in today's market. Coming up next on VTV News. Helicopter squadron conducts joint training in Ho Chi Minh City. And later on, international cruise ships bring thousands of tourists to Vietnam. Now moving on to other important updates, on Thursday morning, 23 helicopters departed from Bien Hoa Airport in Dong Nai for joint training flights over Ho Chi Minh City. The training is part of preparations for the special program commemorating Vietnam's 50th reunification anniversary. The helicopters flew in formation over the city's central areas, performing complex aerial maneuvers including flips, group formations, and coordinated breakaways. Organized by the Vietnam People's Air Force, the aerial demonstration drew enthusiastic spectators from both military and civilian crowds, who watched proudly as the helicopters rehearsed for the upcoming national celebration on April the 30th. As Quảng Nam enters the harsh dry season in 2025, authorities have implemented response measures to mitigate its impact. A key strategy involves regulating water releases according to Government Directive 1865 to sustain over 41,000 hectares of winter-spring rice fields during their critical reproductive stage.
Scorching temperatures have led to water shortages across nearly 500 hectares of rice fields, while rising salinity levels threaten crop yields. Since March 11th, the Song Tran 2 hydropower plant has been releasing water to downstream areas to combat both drought and salt intrusion.
With early warnings of drought and salinity, we urgently need coordinated action from provincial authorities and upstream hydropower plants to secure a successful 2024-2025 winter-spring harvest.
Quảng Nam authorities and hydropower plants have developed multiple strategies to address dry season challenges. These include reducing early season electricity generation and maintaining higher reservoir levels. Currently, water levels remain above the minimum threshold specified in the Inter-Reservoir Operational Plan.
We reduced power generation early in the dry season to focus on equipment maintenance and ensure stable operations. Our main priority is maintaining water supply for downstream areas while meeting national power grid needs.
Thanks to Quảng Nam's comprehensive drought response plan and coordination with hydropower plants, over 41,000 hectares of winter-spring rice fields remain in stable condition.
A heat wave is expanding across the region from Nghệ An to Huế on Thursday, influenced by a western low-pressure system. That is the area's first heat wave of the year. Afternoon temperatures are expected to reach 35 to 37 degrees Celsius, with some mountainous regions climbing above 37 degrees Celsius. The heat wave should subside by Saturday, March the 29th. The southeastern region of Vietnam is also seeing high temperatures, with many areas reaching 35 to 36 degrees Celsius. Note that actual outdoor temperatures may feel 2 to 4 degrees Celsius higher than reported due to heat buildup on concrete or asphalt surfaces. Vietnam has seen positive growth in international arrivals during the first quarter, especially in the luxury cruise ship segment. Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu province alone has welcomed more than 30 international cruise ships to its ports this year. The province VTV deep water port allows large cruise ships to dock nearby, making it convenient for tourists to embark.
This is an international passenger ship from Celebrity Cruises, one of the world's most prestigious cruise lines.
It's great, no, really very impressed by the country. Beautiful country, lovely people, so very much enjoying our time here. Just to learn a lot about the country. I don't know very much about the country.
I think right now I want to see the traditional Vietnamese home. That's the highlight for me. We love it. The people are beautiful. The countryside is beautiful. We did this 2 weeks in a row now.
More than 30 cruise ships, carrying between 2,000 and 4,000 passengers each, have visited Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu and the southeast region to shop and explore local culture and daily life.
We don't have a lot of heritage like this. This is much older than anything we have, and so it's quite impressive to see the development that was done so early.
Thanks to its deep water port infrastructure, convenient transportation, captivating landscapes, and rich cultural and historical heritage, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu has become a preferred destination for many cruise lines and tourists.
Ho Chi Minh City has seen a strong start to the year, welcoming an estimated 1.63 million international tourists in the first 3 months of 2025, a rise of more than 18% compared to last year. The city also expects to host 8.57 million domestic travelers. Tourism revenue for the first quarter is projected to exceed $2.21 billion, marking a 26% increase from the same period last year. The city is ramping up its regional tourism offerings with major promotional campaigns tied to the 50th anniversary of Vietnam's reunification set to draw even more visitors this year. Hanoi's tourism sector is booming in 2025, with visitors numbers reaching 7.3 million in the first quarter, an 8.7% increase from last year. The city's Department of Tourism reports this surge has generated revenue of over $1.17 billion, marking an 11.3% rise from the same period last year. To maintain this momentum, Hanoi has launched its Get on Hanoi 2025 campaign, aimed at boosting both domestic and international tourism. The city is also refining its tourism strategy to be more focused and professional. Hanoi's tourism industry has launched new experiences to attract international visitors, including a walking art tour of the communal houses in the Old Quarter. These tours highlighted the area's East Asian architecture, rich history, and centuries-old craft traditions along the historic Hang Street.
Among the notable walking art tours in the Old Quarter is one featuring its communal houses. Artists thoughtfully curate artistic spaces within these spiritual buildings, connecting them to the historical narratives of each site.
We can admire the art installations inside the Old Quarter's communal houses. I really enjoyed the ambience and activities in an old space like this.
Cultural stories serve as connecting threads throughout this walking tour. Each communal house is dedicated to the patron saint of a traditional craft. One example is the Phu Gen Assembly Hall in Hang Bo Ward, which recreated a traditional medicinal space from a century ago.
This is a very interesting experience in a newly reopened heritage space. It is a space that recreates the country's traditional medicine craft. The street has preserved this traditional craft under its original name for hundreds of years.
Another highlight is the Silk Road art space at the Yen Thai Communal House in Hang Gai Ward. Young artists create works using traditional materials, drawing inspiration from the history and life story of Empress Concubine Elan.
We worship her contributions, who served as regent twice, helping the Lai King maintain peace in the realm. She was also deeply concerned about the lives of the people. Historically, she taught the people the art of mulberry cultivation and silkworm farming.
Through these creative art spaces, the heritage sites breathe new life, carrying both the spirit of modern times and reflecting the rich stories and traditions of Hanoi Old Quarter's ancient communal houses.
Coming up next in our world news. Controversy over U.S. leaked secret data continues. And later on, North Korea prioritizes AI in military drone development. Now moving over to our world news, the leak of sensitive attack plans discussed on the messaging app Signal continues to stir both public opinion and the U.S. Congress. The Atlantic magazine published a sensitive transcript of text messages on Wednesday, revealing that the U.S. Defense Secretary had detailed takeoff times, aircraft types, and targets for a military plan to attack Houthi forces in Yemen. The U.S. Director of National Intelligence described the incident where a journalist was accidentally added to the chat group as unfortunate, but maintained that no classified information was leaked. Democratic lawmakers contested this view, arguing that sharing such operational details constituted a serious violation of information security regulations and demanded accountability. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz has since taken full responsibility for accidentally adding the journalist to the chat group. Investigations are still underway. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un declared that unmanned control and AI capabilities must be top priorities in modern weapons development. The statement followed his supervision of testing suicide drones equipped with artificial intelligence or AI technology. Kim inspected newly upgraded reconnaissance drones capable of detecting various tactical targets and enemy activities on both land and sea. He emphasized the importance of advancing a coordinated, long-term national program to lead in the accelerating race to develop intelligent military drones. North Korea has recently intensified its drone development efforts, particularly focusing on suicide drones. France will provide an additional €2 billion or $2.2 billion in aid for Ukraine. President Emmanuel Macron announced Wednesday after meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Paris. The package includes anti-tank missiles, air defense systems, Mirage fighter jet missiles, armored vehicles, ammunition, and other military aid. The announcement precedes Thursday's Coalition of the Willing summit in Paris, where 30 world leaders will gather to discuss increasing aid to Ukraine and establishing long-term European security guarantees to strengthen Ukraine's defense. In a heartwarming blend of farming and therapy, an Irish farmer has discovered a unique way to bring joy to nursing home residents and individuals with special needs. Phelan and his herd of alpacas are brightening the lives of many, offering a soothing and uplifting experience for those in need of comfort and emotional support. More on this in the following story.
A decade after ditching his office job for farming, 64-year-old Alpaca Joe has found a new job for his herd of 71 woolly South American camelids, animal therapy for the elderly and people with additional needs.
And they get to interact with them, they get to feel them, they look into their big, huge brown eyes, which, just are so relaxing. And they might hear him humming, alpacas hum, and they're very gentle.
Phelan initially looked into the more traditional types of farming that his family had been involved in for hundreds of years, but said he could not see a way to sustain a living. Instead, he started researching alternative farming options. He soon noticed their potential to ease anxiety among older visitors and those with additional needs.
We were having a really positive impact on people with special needs, be it kids with autism, be it adults or adolescents with Down syndrome, adults and children with special needs, and so on. And we just found that it lifted everybody's spirits, and that kind of has led into more work around the therapeutic side of the business that we do.
Just to see the smiles on the faces, and I think it triggered a lot of memories for people that would have grown up on farms, that would have been farmers. So I'd highly recommend this therapy to anyone, and we'll definitely be having the two guys back again.
The business now employs 11 people, houses 71 alpacas and 2 much larger llamas, and offers visitor accommodation.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website, our YouTube channel, or download a mobile app, VTVgo, for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.